If you pray to God, but then have doubts, will God still answer your prayer? Or is it the kind of thing where it's perfect faith required if you want to have God's attention and intervention in your life? Is that how it works? That's the question we're gonna ask. We know we're broken people living in a broken world, but when it comes to prayer requests, are we supposed to have perfect faith in order for God to answer our prayers? Bad theology says take a few verses out of context and figure out on your own what you think the author meant and what you think God means. Good theology says put that back in and look at those 4 verses in context with the entire letter that James wrote, and even bigger than that, in the context of the entire Bible. And if your interpretation lines up with the entire letter and the entire Bible, we're on our way towards some good theology. But if it doesn't, then we got a problem. And I think you're gonna find that's where we land on this particular topic. Spoiler alert, I do personally think perfect faith required is bad theology. The double-minded doubter, he's not talking about praying for a specific request and some doubts sneak into our intellect and go, I don't know if the outcome will be exactly what I asked for. He's talking about people who believe in God or don't believe in God. So when he says believe and don't doubt, it's not believe that your request is gonna be exactly what you asked for. The believe and don't doubt is believe in God or don't come ask. Don't come waste his time. Because what is happening here is James is writing to people who would do this. This is going on all over the place. I'm gonna come over to James's God because I need some rain and the crops and maybe a little wisdom. And then the truth is, though, they spend the rest of their time, they're going to sorcerers and trying to get wisdom. They're going to false gods and trying to get wisdom. And they're like, I really don't believe in James's God. I don't think he's the way. I don't think his word can fully be trusted. I'm not trying to get wisdom from him. But then every now and then I just throw up a Hail Mary. Yo, can I get some wisdom? And James goes, don't waste God's time. If you're not gonna commit your life to God and actually listen to his wisdom and do what he says, don't waste his time and come ask. That's what he's talking about. And keep this in mind. This is Jesus' younger brother, James. He's just repeating what he heard his older brother say in Matthew, that we now call Matthew 6, where he said, you cannot serve 2 masters. I believe he can help me. And so he runs over. So they brought him. When the Spirit saw Jesus, that was inside the boy, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, how long has he been like this? Brokenhearted, this dad answers, from childhood, his whole life, man. We've went everywhere. We've tried everything. It's often thrown him into a fire or water to kill him. But if you could do anything, would you take pity on us and help us? If I can, Jesus said, everything's possible for one who believes. Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Uh-oh. Help me overcome my unbelief. He didn't know how to play the church game. He didn't know you're supposed to pretend I have perfect faith. He didn't know I wasn't supposed to tell Jesus himself I'm doubting today. He said, I'm gonna be honest with you, Jesus. I believe about enough to come ask you. But if you're asking me if I know the future, man, we've had a lot of dead ends. We've had a lot of letdowns. A lot of days where we were hopeful and then it didn't work out. So I don't know, man. I believe enough to come to you with the issue. But if you're asking me if I 100% believe in what's gonna happen in the future, I can't say I do. You pluck those verses out of James and create some bad theology that says you got to have perfect faith for Jesus to answer your prayers, then you already know how this story has to end based on that theology. This dude's son cannot be healed by Jesus according to that theology. Here's what happens. Jesus said, let me show you some good theology. When Jesus saw that a crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. This is right after the guy said, I got real doubts. You deaf and mute spirit, he said, I command you come out of him and never enter him again. The spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently, and he came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said he's dead. Jesus said, nah, took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. If we could ask this dad today, will Jesus answer prayers even when I have seasons of doubt? He'd go, yeah. Let me tell you a story that changed our lives forever.